He's on like his third attempt. Oh, hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. I think the cold open is sort of becoming almost traditional now, isn't it? Who were we talking about? They'll never know. As long as you've been having fun, Rabbi, that's what counts, isn't it, mate? That's what counts. Have you got what's your tipple of choice this evening, Rabbi?
Oh, I am having coffee.
Me too.
There you go.
Because I don't drink alcohol.
It's well past my bedtime.
Yeah. Me neither. Particularly on stream. We've got people watching already. Thank you, everybody. We're going to get stuck in properly right now. Waiting for one more person to join us, and then we're going to get stuck in. We've got lots to talk about. We're going to have some fun. And we were tempted to sort of, between us, cobble together some sort of awkward video, maybe recommending a new slogan for somebody who may be entering some sort of electoral tournament over the next few days. Dinkles for... But quite frankly, we thought we'd retain what's left of our dignity.
Not much.
It isn't a great deal, is it? Let's be honest. And just dive in deep to the week in sort of pop culture and movies, TV, comic books, and whatever else sort of pops up in our diseased minds. So hold tight, everybody, because I think we're going in. Go on. She cried, Rabbi. That's what you always say. Yes, she cried.
心で見える音がある。フジカセットが感性を伝える。Good sound affects the heart. フジカセット新シリーズ。
And yes, welcome back. Welcome back to the Spacebook, talking all out there entertainment and live streaming it to you on YouTube and on Rumble too. All will be revealed, debated, debagged here on our 100% real-time live stream. It's Saturday, the 2nd of November, 2024. That's where we've popped out. At this time, and heaven knows what we're going to cover on our way through hyperspace. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. This is the panel. It's John Yulden there. We've got the mega geek Ian David Diaz, the rabbi from another planet, directly from his own sensational stream. Sensational and explicit stream.
I did have an emergency Jimmy Riddle before we came on today.
Needs must.
And it wasn't. I was like, I better check that out before we go live because
that's it. Watering the horses.
Anything could happen in the next half hour, if I may quote.
This is what we like to hear. And I'm happy to say, back in fine voice as well, the one and only Bolstrek. Our mate Chris there in the bottom corner. How are you feeling then, Chris? So you were a poorly soldier last week, weren't you? But we did have a few messages there from some of the girls out there watching who really liked that. So you may have to bring it back.
I'm actually not entirely over it yet, but I got my voice back. I still got the sniffles. And every morning, stuff that comes out of my nose resembles an episode of Aliens. So whoever was eating right now, thank you. Oh, and I'm not having, for my special drink, I'm not having Diet Coke today. I'm having regular Coke. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It's going to kick right off tonight, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the regular.
Well, I'm having the regular Coke. Are you having the original one with cocaine in it?
That is for those of you who don't know, that is a true story. That was Coke's original ingredient. Actually, somewhere in my basement, which I have to find, I've got an old Coke ad from like the days when they used the bad stuff, and the girl in the picture looks very happy. Well, she's in like a
I bet she is. I bet she. Okay, this is what they need to. Coke needs to produce, right? Everybody would buy this. An old-fashioned Coke bottle, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Filled with carbonated water and a vial of the original Coke syrup, right? So, and you put it in, and you can make it like the original Coke was, right? I think people will go for that.
You're joking. We can't even allow them to give us bottles without the cap.
Yeah, coming off.
Now.
Yeah.
Well, you're in England, which does now have you all band-aids
goes up
scissors.
Goes up your nose when you're trying to drink it.
Oh yeah, and I had to make a change slightly. This was supposed to be up last week. Just a minute. There we go.
Oh wow!
There you go. So literally, our show got canceled last week but this was supposed to be my avatar. So I'm going to pretend it's still Halloween. So this is the goat whose name who shall remain nameless, who's still on the lam. Again, wood chipper incident. So he's posing as Dracula. So this was his Halloween costume. You notice how he even did the Dracula white face?
Yeah.
He did a good job.
So you'd never know who that is. It's a complete. I don't know who that is. Like, who is that?
I mean, all I can say is penny for the guy. They don't say that anymore, and they don't have a
do
kid.
that anymore.
Oh no, they don't.
No, they
I haven't seen one.
They don't.
I haven't seen one since before the pandemic.
They say what?
Penny for the guy. So it's basically celebrating Guy Fawkes, and they what they do is they make this I guess person out of shirt and trousers and stick something on his head, and then they stand there train stations, kids, and they go penny for the guy, and people give them money to buy fireworks.
Right.
You'd make the best representation of a incapacitated Guy Fawkes as you could in the local area. The idea being that random passers-by will throw a penny in the hat for the Guy Fawkes replica. When I was a kid, it was being frowned upon as a kind of mode of begging, but we did it anyway. But I haven't seen it for a long time now.
And then you burn it, don't you? You burn it.
That's right.
The day, don't you?
On bonfire night.
I have never heard of this tradition. We don't have traditions like that.
But
it's part
right
of,
now,
Chris, it's part of the British culture that they keep trying to tell us that we haven't got.
Right now,
is it like the mushy peas?
Yeah.
No,
right.
Yeah.
Listen,
right
now in Battersea Park, which is not far from me, they've got fireworks. So it sounds like a war zone out there. They're firing fireworks everywhere and stuff. So it's today, because obviously is it the 5th? When is the 5th? I can't remember.
I thought you were going to say they have mushy peas
Tuesday,
and it smells like vomit.
Tuesday.
In Israel, you can send your kids to go and buy fireworks for you.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, they're just like ow everywhere. Right.
In my city, they shoot them at people. It's awesome. And
it's like being in the 70s.
We're not allowed to do penny for the guy on street corners anymore. But there was some footage on X yesterday of people in the city where I live firing fireworks at very close range at residential tower blocks, flats or apartments where people actually live. That's going on just a few miles up the road from me right now. So
Dan,
that seems to be fine. Yes.
Dan, do you remember that advert they played every freaking time before bonfire night? The little girl with the sparkler.
Oh yes,
around her fingers, doesn't she? And she goes, like that. every year they used to play that ad.
It used to give me nightmares.
And it's a little boy as well, wasn't it? And it's
that was a girl. It was a little girl.
No, there was another one as well. A little boy, and he'd done the sparkler, and and then at the end he's there going, Johnny won't be able to hold a sparkler anymore.
And you should put that back to back with the safety driving one.
Oh, those were great, weren't they? Those were really good.
Imagine this is you, and this little sandwich is your car.
Yeah.
You know what?
Oh, yeah, the jam sandwich and the cricket bats. Bang, bang, bang.
I know Chris is into his horror movies, but there's nothing more horror created than the British safety videos.
The public information films.
The one where the kid touches the pylon inside the
power
station. He goes about 8 miles back.
No, the Canadians are worse. Have you ever seen the one of the woman in the kitchen who slips and it's
gets decapitated?
So it's up there with Threads as one of the most terrifying things you will ever see.
Threads.
I'm gonna see if I can find it, and I'll throw Dan a link in the chat, and then you could this is messed up. Okay, so
the latest one though, the latest one is the guy looking down at himself when the ambulances are trying to resuscitate him, isn't it? Have you seen that one?
Yeah,
that
no.
Not scary, but it kind of does the job, I guess.
Oh yeah, he's having an out of body experience, isn't
he? Let's see. So I got this copy. Where's young Daniel? Dan. Oh, there's your smiling face. Okay. So Dan, send a link. Okay. There you go. I've sent something. If you want to see one of the most screwed up things you will ever see, this is the stuff of nightmares. Okay.
Let's see if we can get this up on screen.
I'm up for this, but I'm intrigued.
Is this a Canadian ad, Chris?
Oh yes.
This
is the type of stuff. It's been on Channel Awesome. It's been on all sorts of things. It's all over it's 32 seconds, so it's within fair use, but it's all over the internet. Like whenever somebody makes a list of the most screwed up ads ever, there's a few of them. There's the we'll see if it'll come up. But this is well,
let's see if I can get this up, because it's a little tricky, but I'm sure we can sort it out. What do you think, Marina?
To me, and I'll
we can manage it. Just bear with me a moment. Oh yeah, because the public information films in Britain, they are a thing. They were a thing, and most of us have certain ones that kind of give us a little bit of PTSD. And if this is anything,
about them all the time.
Sorry,
didn't Harry M?
If this is anything like that,
no, I don't think Harry.
No, they're more like the earlier instructional videos.
Rabbi, where are you on here?
Where's the ad? I'm waiting for this terrifying ad that Chris is.
Well, you have to bear with me, because I do prepare these things in advance. I just put something new in. It's actually quite difficult. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it.
Oh, actually, if you do a screen share, just a minute.
Yeah, if you go to present and it says share video,
hold on.
Yeah, that's how I normally do it.
Okay. So, let me see.
I was just looking up on YouTube British public information films. I'm not sure this one is one, though. It's called Billy Bollocks.
Here, I'll do it this way. Okay. Okay, share screen.
So I've got it. I've got it.
Okay, I got it shared too.
Where are we?
Dun dun dun. There we go.
So I do, I do put these things together in advance. I can't just drop things in and out.
That's all right.
Can you hear that?
No, but it looks she's very sweet though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to hear the happiness in the background beforehand. She's talking about her career. She's going to make head chef. She's about to get married. Then she's got her pot. And shaboom, boing!
Oh,
no!
And,
no! No! That was horrible.
I told you don't talk to me about like messed up ads.
That was.
I'll buy whatever they're selling. Leave me alone. I don't want to hear anymore. How much you want?
That was one hell of a slip, though. One hell of a slip, wasn't it?
That was a cracker.
Yeah.
That was before the age of AI. Let me tell you, it's very impressive.
Not getting married anymore, love.
No.
There's that one dude that gets
Right,
electrocuted. There's the horrific building site accident. Oh, that one's fun. I think he loses his head.
By the way, did you know Liam Neeson was very nearly James Bond?
Yeah.
Yes. Wasn't everybody?
I guess so.
I think when Sam Neill auditioned.
I think the rabbi went up
the
for
time
it.
that Sam Neill did it.
Never Say Never Again.
Rabbi you went up for it, didn't you, Rabbi? Everyone
I
went
did,
up for it,
I turned them down. I said they're too cheap. So you don't get this for nothing, baby.
The lunches weren't luxurious. Luxurious enough. Yes.
Rabbi with the gun barrel sequence.
Nothing can go wrong.
So let us know your nightmares from public information films past, whether you're in Canada, in Britain, or in the States, Australia, anywhere, really. Can you beat that one there that Chris has shared with us for the very first time?
We had one with these two puppets about icky things making you sick. That one's the stuff of nightmares. No, they're like our PSAs are legendary. If you ever watch Nostalgia Critic when he does his commercial things, that one's been on there along with the other ones. The guy at the construction site, that one might even be more graphic, like how mangled can you get. I think there's a guy that was run over by a forklift, and they would play these like during like Thundercats and stuff.
I mean, you could say that some piece of entertainment themselves could or should come with some sort of public warning, couldn't they? I'm thinking about something that we talked about last week. One movie in particular that we went into great depth talking about, and that was this Megalopolis. Week before last, from the great Francis Ford Coppola, the 84-year-old director. Francis Ford Coppola has been in the news again this week. I don't know if anybody's caught this, but I read with great interest after what we went through just a couple of weeks ago, all in the name of giving the legendary director a fair day in court with this passion project of his that he's had on the go for many, many years. But what's actually happened is that Francis Ford Coppola has got into an altercation with Rotten Tomatoes. And to be honest, well, I want to know where you sit with this. Rotten Tomatoes is, of course, owned by Fandango now, which is owned in turn by NBC Universal, which is owned by Comcast. Comcast is owned by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is now owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. So it is part of the Hollywood machine, Ian. You know, if you trace it back diligently enough. So this is all part of the same sort of engine. Even though it was founded in 1998, it's a sort of fan thing. And it was one of the very first websites that I ever heard of, long before I went online. But where Francis Ford Coppola has taken issue with Rotten Tomatoes is in the reception to his latest movie. And it seems like we're not the only ones who've given it a bad review, believe it or not. Apparently not. Apparently not. And
what have they found bad about it?
And Francis Ford Coppola has come out and lashed out against Rotten Tomatoes and said, it's a way to control cinema, which is art and shouldn't be controlled, by treating it like sports. That's what he's saying. It's treating it like sports, and the punditry, I suppose, is the equivalent of sporting punditry. He says, I've often said that making art without risk is like making babies without sex. So he took a big risk and blew his beans on 2 3/4 hours worth of Megalopolis that we sat through a couple of weeks ago. And yes, it hasn't been very well received. Francis Ford Coppola has not taken it well. Now, here on the channel, though, when we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, Chris, you know, you were very, we ripped the piss out of this film, but you were very careful, weren't you, to observe the fact that at least he had tried something different.
Well, there's different, and then there's whatever the hell that was. I officially declare. Okay, so Dan made us all watch it. So that ad is officially my revenge on Dan. So thank you. He tried to do so. Well, yes, like we can all try to do something different. Like I could, I don't know, break a pencil in half, film it, and put it in slow motion and call it a movie. Like we could all do something. I will give him this. At least he didn't waste other people's money on it. He wasted his own money. And I say if Nicolas Cage wants to, like, you know, buy islands and pyramids and alligators and
castles.
Whatever. Yeah, castles. You know, I guess rich people have spent their money on dumber things. Although, given that his age, I would say this is probably going to be his last movie. I think it's been like more than a decade since he's directed another movie. So this is where his career ends. So I would have thought of that. I'm like, do you really want to go out with this?
Oh, it's so sad. It really
is probably going to make another one anyway. Also, remember that you can't vote or you can't put a criticism up on Rotten Tomatoes unless you buy a ticket on Fandango, whether it is now. You can't just go
it's
on
all
the
linked.
site now. And, it's all linked. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, I would. It's not one I would watch again. Did you? Oh yeah, did you ever finish watching it, Dan?
No.
You did. You didn't get to the Aubrey Plaza anti-wow sex scene with Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
I forgot to bring that up last week. That is one of the most awkward things you will ever see on the film.
Not good.
No, it was terrible. It was awful.
It's anti-Viagra.
Plaza.
Rotten Tomatoes is guided by their tomatometer and this way of scoring movies or TV shows. I've never been able to really make head and a tail of it. I mean, the way I see it, you know, it's if enough people say it's good, it goes up. If enough people say it's bad, it goes down. But as the years have gone on, they've continued to sort of break it down into categories, haven't they? And consider that some people's opinions are more valid than others. They've allowed certain platforms and studios to interfere along the way. Disney did interfere with the entire mechanism of this a good 5 or 6 years ago, if I remember rightly, John. I can't quite recall which film it was tied to, but it was a specific release. I think it was Captain Marvel,
wasn't it?
Yeah, they've been doing it on a few though, and they get to, and they also get to a point, don't they, where if it's going to go even lower, they turn it off.
Yes.
And then suddenly you start seeing conveniently some positive scores going up, but the negatives are just static. So I don't really pay much attention to Rotten Tomatoes these days. I think
neither do I.
The day I did, and I think external sites, you know, we miss the old independent movie critic, don't we? We don't. Well, it's YouTube is where you find them now, don't you?
Yeah.
There's one situation where I will trust it. If the critics hate it and the fans love it, that's a sign that it's going to be a good movie. It's sad, but that's where we are.
It is true.
Yeah.
I have never taken this website seriously myself. So whenever somebody comes to me, and right now it's not just sort of woke-cokies that talk about Rotten Tomatoes, because obviously it does line up very much with the far left. But people on the other side of the aisle do as well. They mention Rotten Tomatoes a lot, like it should stop an argument dead in its tracks or nullify a take or an opinion. I think Rotten Tomatoes. Do you still go there? I'm always amazed when I hear that somebody still goes there.
Yeah.
But to hear Francis Ford Coppola talk about punditry in that way, do you think he's got a point, Ian?
No. That's it. That's it. No,
I don't know. I've been mulling it over all day.
No, he hasn't got a point. He's just saw that people don't like his film.
Yeah,
I don't know what.
I agree with Ian completely.
I don't know what he's on, right? But I mean, to write something like that, you know, you've got to be on drugs, surely. And mind you, I only watched 15 minutes of it. That was enough for me. So it's a terrible movie. It's a terrible movie.
The first 10 minutes are it just gets more insane. I've come up with a way of describing this film. This film is a visual depiction of a fall into dementia. Literally, it makes less and less. It almost seems kind of normal at the beginning, aside from the sepia, everything. But it literally gets more and just, I could see this eventually maybe being a Plan 9 from outer space cult experiment.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
maybe. I mean, Francis Ford Coppola went on to explain further. He said, "You have to leap into the unknown because that's where you can prove you are free." Which is another thing that this film explains. This is an anathema to the modern system that is at work today. So the movie business doesn't want risk. They want movies to be like Coca-Cola or something. So he's equating it all to being basically about selling and about the endurance of brands and of product, which does line up with a certain amount of the complaints, observations that we've had following this as pundits ourselves, Rabbi, over the last 5-6 years.
I mean, that is a valid point, but what he's failing to understand is there's been we're seeing this huge growth of independent media production, right? Things outside the Hollywood system. You know, in Daily Wire. There's a lot more outlets now. And you can make your own thing, but like Ian does, for example, put it on YouTube and people watch it, right? And it's good, right? It grabs your imagination, and that's why people go to these different platforms and they bore to tears, right? So look, Coppola actually did that. He made his own media. He put his own money into it, but he's amazed that we don't like it. He thought everybody's going to say it's the greatest thing ever.
But he didn't stick to the rules of filmmaking, did he? When he made that, so he doesn't explain why that guy's got power to stop time.
Exactly,
as far as I can tell,
the rule. There's no rules in this universe.
No,
right? I mean that's a really frustrating thing. At first these seem to be the rules, and then they have contradictory rules or additional. How does this get together? And it's it fails to tell a story.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I see it is that we are now back at a place where, like 20 years ago, it was the case of, this was the stereotype, wasn't it? You'd got the career journo, the legacy journo, who would be there banging out the reviews in the daily papers, whether it was the red tops or the others. You know, they're not really that much different, are they? And their opinions would be the only ones in circulation, and they would make careers out of making or breaking movies, TV shows, theatre productions, all that kind of thing. I'm not saying that was necessarily a bad thing. It was what we had at the time. That was the way that information got out there. Now times have changed, but it does seem that the machine that had a stranglehold on opinion all those years ago for all that time is now wrestling or has actually not now, over the last decade, has kind of wrestled it back in their favour through acquiring places like Rotten Tomatoes and kind of trying to push us all out, and they're encroaching onto places like YouTube and other places where normal people can share their opinions, Ian.
Yeah, well, basically, the clever people go to YouTube to assess a movie. If they are undecided about a movie, they go to YouTube and find out what people are saying on there. I don't know anyone now that trusts the press when it comes to movies. I don't know anyone. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and like the big difference now is if you want intelligence and authenticity and knowledge about this, whatever subject is you like, you know, you can only go to YouTube. It used to be like, because there was so much competition to get onto TV on the very small outlets you had, you'd normally get people who are very, very good at it, like Barry Norman.
Yeah,
right?
like Barry Norman. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
Siskel and Albert were the two Americans, weren't they?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you don't get talent like that anymore in mainstream media.
See, I trust Barry Norman when he used to,
exactly.
You know, because like when he reviewed a film, he reviewed it, and you can tell he knew what he was talking about. The only film he got wrong was Con Air. He thought that was terrible. I thought it was great.
The only film he got wrong. I disagreed with Barry Norman. I disagreed with Barry Norman a lot, but I did respect his viewpoint. And there've been, when I see reviews of him now talking back in the day about films that I liked then, I often do see his point of view, even if I think, no, I still think Labyrinth was pretty good, actually. Barry, you can, with respect, mate, go do one.
Blue Velvet either.
Yeah.
He hardly liked anything.
Labyrinth was what, a 17-year-old Jennifer Connelly? Are you kidding me?
I met Barry Norman in Cannes, and I also met what's his name, Derek Malcolm in Cannes as well. They were both having lunch, and I had a chat with them for half an hour. Both of them seemed very, very clued in and very passionate about movies, especially Derek Malcolm.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's now as well. You know what you're saying. You don't trust what the press write, and you know that they've been flown out to like a Disney. They've been given their perk bag, you know, for the whole experience. And it's like, oh, now I've got to go back and try and be impartial and write a balanced review of this film. Yeah, that's going to happen.
Do you know what the most surprising thing about meeting those two was how much they swore? You know, you see them on TV and you see the writer. Barry Norman swears like a trooper. And so Derek, he was even worse. And this was during lunch. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah,
that's what journalists were like back in the day when journalists were actually journalists.
Yeah.
Because most of them were substance abusers. A great many of them were sexual deviants. And that's how it was. So I think Barry Norman was probably one of the good ones. Allegedly. Okay. So, believe it or not, I went and looked this up. In a survey last year, I mean, again, read whatever you like. If you believe surveys, you may not, you may, I don't know. But according to a survey last year, we're still at a position where a whole third of people who go to the cinema regularly will consult Rotten Tomatoes before they decide whether they're going to see a film or not. Does that surprise you? Does that surprise you, Chris?
That what?
A third of people who go to cinemas regularly do check the score on Rotten Tomatoes before they decide to go or not.
Well, that explains how anybody actually went to go see something like the Marvels. But I think I think one thing, we are not the average film goer. None of us are.
Perhaps not.
You know, you have the normies, and the normies don't follow things like we do. All they know is, well, the comic book movies aren't quite what they were before. So that doesn't surprise me. That's how anybody goes to see any of these movies. Although I would see I put more stock in what the people that went to see the movie will say. So the viewer score or the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, depending. Like I said, for me, if you have, say, 99% reviewers on Rotten Tomatoes and like a 30% audience score, be like, I think Star Trek Discovery was somewhere around there. Then I would take that, or the opposite, where the reviewers absolutely hate something and the audience loves it. Usually that's a sign that it's going to be a good movie, because the audience, generally speaking, is not going to follow the same script or playbook or requirements of what has to be talked to still have access and still keep your job. So I would say maybe put stock in what the audience says, although you can obviously see when bots have written it, it was a well-crafted film about the idiosyncrasies of, shut up, you didn't write that. So if you look
GTP, wherever it is, that's what wrote it. Yeah, it's all rubbish.
I'd say just look on YouTube, but look at don't review our friend Mr. Stuckman. He's given up on reviewing.
Stuckman.
For some reason, still the big one on there. No, he likes everything now because he decided he was no longer reviewing movies about 3 years ago. That's not me talking crap. He actually said that
because he is a filmmaker now, so he doesn't want to. That's what he said. He doesn't.
I know who you mean.
I
know who you mean now.
Bad Malvin.
Let us know what you think in the comments section. Are you one of that entire third of regular moviegoers who still consult Rotten Tomatoes before deciding whether you're going to go to the film or not? Do you believe that survey, or could that in itself be disinformation? Let us know here at the Spacebook. Yes.
I was going to say, look, you're going to get millions of people about to vote for Kamala Harris. Yes, I believe it. Right?
Actually, I see, Rabbi. I was going to say that, but I said I'm not going to get political. I'm not going to mention that.
That's not getting political. I'm just saying that's going to happen.
Right? We already know that. We see the polls, Rabbi. We all know we have little faith in humanity.
Mate, we've got our own problems over here. We've got our own problems.
There's a lot of people who just do what they're told. People like to do what they're told.
All we can do is keep our fingers crossed and hope that sanity will prevail somewhere along the lines. We do our bit. We can only do our bit here by talking on the Spacebook about movies and TV. So come and join our mission if you dare on the Spacebook Live, talking about movies and TV on the weekly. Sometimes it's whatever we're actually watching in the average week or what we're reading. Other times we'll do a deep dive on a movie past or present in the Spacebook listed too. That's our strand of classic movie and TV review shows. You can get all of that here on the Spacebook channel. We've got a panel raring to go here as we get stuck into some of what's coming soon in the cinemas. But before we do that, we have got a live chat and we've got some comments. Let's go and see what they've got to say.
I'm going to tell you how it's going to be. With Scotch's lifetime guarantee. Tape what you want both night and day. Then re-record, not fade away. Re-record, not fade away.
If it's Scotch, it's guaranteed for life.
Yes, tonight we're looking ahead to some of the things that are going to be on release over the next 6 to 7 weeks or so as the winter begins to kick in the run-up to Christmas. And you can pick out what you're going to see. Or I think you're better off listening to us than going over to Rotten Tomatoes or listening to Francis Ford Coppola, in my humble opinion. Welcome to the people watching in the live chat there on YouTube and on Rumble, including Lord Thoth, one of our moderators. Thank you for your time, Lord Thoth. Happy to have you with us. We've got Rose Kirby in the live chat as well with a greeting that straddles all time zones. Happy to see you there. Darren M is in as well. We've got Garbage too. Happy birthday to Charlotte. I think you mean Charlotte Shields. She's not here, Garbage, but I'm sure she'll appreciate that. She's not on the show. That's a different different channel, different show. But I'm sure happy birthday to our Charlotte, to our Charlotte Shields. What else is here? Stephen Braddock's along for the ride as well.
Great picture of
And
Indy.
it is a cracking picture of Indiana Jones there. That's one of Stephen's own, I believe. Yeah. And we've got Michael Q in the live chat as well. Good to see you back, Michael. Remember, the 5th of November, the Gunpowder, Treason and Plot, that's says right. Darren Emma. Who am I to argue, Darren?
Penny for the guy.
Did you ever give them a penny, Ian?
I kicked them. He didn't give me no penny though.
Super duper. And we've got Boomer Dog in the live chat as well. He's saying, hello, John Yulden. I love the fun of the fun vibe of both. There you go.
Brilliant.
He's having a good time.
Good lad.
I get a fun vibe myself, let me tell you.
For a fun vibe, cool. And we've got Sentai as well is in the live chat. He says, I have mixed feelings about that commercial. But then again, my family and I are State Farm mutual consumers. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm happy.
I think it's an insurance.
No, they're talking about the kitchen commercial.
Oh, I see. I gotcha.
The one that we showed that was very uplifting.
Gotcha.
Well, it wasn't uplifting for her, was it?
It was. It's from the Workplace Safety Insurance Board. It's about being safe in the workplace and making sure that the floor isn't slippery when you've got a pot of boiling oil.
Maybe Sentai Ranger Donnie was that woman. That's why he's wearing a helmet in his profile pic.
Maybe.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That could happen. Yes, it's yeah.
You never know. Look,
be safe at work, everyone, or that happens.
Yeah, I mean, at least at the cinema, you get carpets. Do you still get carpets? You do at my local cinema. They haven't. It hasn't gone quite that bad yet.
No, we have sticky floors.
Yeah, laminate. We have laminate. Yeah.
Well, let's start with you, Ian, because you're just back from the cinema, aren't you? In the last
I am indeed.
day or so, you were boasting earlier on. You've been to see this new film starring Hugh Grant, which I'd never heard of until yesterday when I saw it plastered over the side of a bus. So, what is Heretic?
Heretic, right? Listen, right. We have the rabbi on, we have John on, we have me on, right? Heretic slags off every religion going, right? But don't let that put you off, right? It is a very, very good film. And Hugh Grant is amazing. His performance is creepy, as well as intelligent, as well as Hugh Grant humor. So
I mean, like Hugh Grant had a fantastic second half of his career. But right? I think this is where he's doing his best work by far.
If you think Hugh Grant can't act, just go and see this film. He is amazing in this film, as far as I'm concerned.
Ian, I noticed the A24 logo there. I usually associate that with horror. So when you say it slags off, does it unravel religion as a concept, or it's no particular faith? It's the general concept of faith.
Right. So basically, the synopsis is two girls who are trying to they're Mormons who are going around the town trying to talk to people about God and Jesus. Where those ones you meet in the street. Do you want to talk about Jesus and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Well, they go to Hugh Grant's house because Hugh Grant's on their list of that he wants to talk about religion. They go to his house. But one of the rules is you don't go in the house with just the guy. You go in, there has to be a woman present. But he says his wife's in the back making pie. So they go in there and they discuss religion. As they have the discussion, it becomes very uneasy for those two, as well as Hugh Grant. But Hugh Grant is basically, he's basically explained to them why he's come to the conclusion that religion does not work. And there's this wonderful scene, right? Rabbi's going to love this scene, where he has them in this room and he puts up all the main religions, like the Jewish religion, the Christian religion, this, that, the other. And he explains where it goes from here to here to here to here. And he explains it really funny because he gets a Monopoly board out and he goes, remember Monopoly? And then he brings out another thing that was like the first Monopoly. But because this other guy called it Monopoly, he made a crap load of money, but the original person didn't. So I'm not going to give much away. All I can say is, right, it's it's a very good film, very intelligent, right, towards the ending, a bit over the top towards the ending, because obviously it's a thriller horror.
Well, they tend to work their way to conclusions that
absolutely.
these kind of things, don't they?
But if go and see it for Hugh Grant, he is really good in this film. He really is. He makes you feel uneasy. He makes you laugh. He also comes across as very creepy at times. But I'm not gonna. But anyway, it's basically.
Well, you're quite right about Hugh Grant. He's now he's in this phase in his career.
Yeah.
He is taking character roles. He's making more unusual choices all over the map. He's doing action movies. He's doing comedy movies. He's doing thrillers, horror films like this. He's doing TV in Britain. He's doing. I understand he's back on stage as well, John.
Yes,
so, and an actor, I think so. He must be around 60, something like that. Because an actor of his age, tied to a particular time, to be unafraid of entering a new phase in his career. I think this is fantastic. I really admire Hugh Grant. I mean, he and I are poles apart politically, all that jazz. But as a performer, as a creative,
I see him rubbing his politics in my face.
But you know what, right? If you look at the interviews that Hugh Grant is in, he's always saying, "Oh no, you know, I don't really like acting. You know, I do it for the money and stuff." Like he always puts himself down as an actor, right? Because I remember he was on Graham Norton, and he was talking about the actresses that he acts opposite and stuff like that, and how, you know, he's find it very difficult. But I think that's all rubbish, because the guy can act. He can act, right? Because everybody was associating with romance and stuff like that. But in this film, he's proved once and for all that he has the chops.
Is it the equivalent of when Robin Williams? Is it the equivalent of when Robin Williams took the role in 1 Hour Photo?
Yes.
Right. Oh, great movie.
So seriously, so basically, it's about these two girls that are trying to get out the house. And he basically sets this thing for them, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. And then it just escalates, and it comes to a conclusion, obviously, because every film does. But again, I would say see it for Hugh Grant. It is worth. The performance is great. It is worth watching, in my opinion. But I'd say the rabbi really be pissed. Maybe John will be pissed. The things he says. So there you go.
No, I appreciate it being intelligently done, and the characters you describe. It seems like it's just perfect for Hugh Grant.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
I mean, that being said, the whole trashing God thing.
Well, he doesn't. He basically he doesn't use slang words or anything like that about religion. He tries to explain how the religion goes from this to this to this to this. That's what he's explaining, right? And some people could take it the wrong way, or some people could just take it as entertainment. I just took it as entertainment personally. Do you know what I mean? So again, right? If religion's close to your heart, really close to your heart, then maybe you should watch this movie.
I know. Look,
don't do it.
There's this comedian on YouTube. Was it Avi Shafir, who used to be like religious Jewish and then isn't. Then now and he had a whole stand-up special talking about all the taboo things you're not allowed to talk about.
It
was the funniest thing I've ever heard. I cried laughing.
Yeah, I'll watch that one.
I recommend it though, people. I recommend it. It's well.
Sounds good. I mean, for me, that's something I watch on a streaming service or like when it's on.
You should.
No, I knew what you were talking about right away, because I had. As soon as I saw the trailer, which came up before a YouTube video, which normally I skip, but they show the first few seconds, I'm like, oh, this seems kind of intriguing. But one thing I have to say is I think now when we look at the big names of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, we're now trying to see who actually cared about the craft of acting, who was the legitimate actor and who wasn't. Because now that Hugh Grant, we think of him as his many romantic comedies and his indiscretions and whatnot, 25 years ago, or you think of Nicolas Cage and you think of largely his big budget action movies where he was making more money than God. People like even somebody like John Travolta, everything he does now is just laughably terrible. Watch the Fanatic, I think it's called.
That's
it's
terrible.
But you have to give him credit because none of these people need to act anymore. They've all Nicolas Cage was making terrible movies for a decade to pay off the government. He did pay that off, in case anybody wonders. But now they're all in a position where Hugh Grant is obviously like the guy still has more money than God. He's making what he wants to make. He's kind of becoming a horror icon. Nicolas Cage has had one of the strangest careers, and of course, he has been my favorite actor since the 90s. But he's got a weird trajectory too. He went from being, box office legend to internet meme for a decade, then had the third stage of his career where he completely reinvents himself and has made some of the best movies I've ever seen, period. And I can see that with Hugh Grant now. And I find this interesting, those who you can tell actually really enjoy acting. And for them, I don't think it ever really was about the fame or if it was about the money, because obviously the Heretic isn't going to be like, 28 weeks or whatever that one was called. And the stuff that he did back in the day. Yeah. He's doing things now because he actually wants to do them. So I respect that. And I'm always much more interested to see when you add two and two together. This is something that they're not making for money, that he's doing because he genuinely likes it. And I saw somebody make a comment, Hugh Grant for the next Doctor. No, that funeral.
That was me.
That was you.
No. You know what? Right, there was this interview where he did this. He played this screenplay writer. He did this film, and I think the person who was interviewing said, "Why did you do this film?" And he said, "Well, I did it because my friend wrote it, and I thought I better do it anyway but I don't really acting in films. Rubbish! Look at this guy fly in this movie. Absolute nonsense."
Like that modesty thing has always been his thing. Right, he's always been like, the self-effacing, which works for him, right?
It does work for him, yeah.
It does work for him if you're incredibly talented and insanely hot, right? It's like a very, very attractive man. You can basically that just works incredibly.
Yeah.
So this is currently on release. Ian, has it kicked up a storm with people? Has it ruffled any feathers?
Look, it just got released Thursday. Was it Thursday? I haven't heard anything about it. I saw, just like you, Dan, I saw the advert on the bus, and I'm a huge Hugh Grant fan anyway, as everybody knows.
It's a striking poster. Really great.
I'm going to see it. And I went to see it today, and I thought he was absolutely bloody excellent. So go and see it. That's all I can say. It is worth your time, not only for Hugh Grant, but for the tension and the way it's directed. And the only complaint I have most scenes are too dark. That's the only complaint I have. But the whole film is really entertaining as far as I'm concerned. So.
And it's A24, which A24 does not do normal movies.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Which is what I like about them. Them and Neon are the two They're kind of the only two original production houses out there. So A24, it's not always going to be great, but it's good. They've made some of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Watch the one called Men. That was A24.
I've got that on Blu-ray. I was gifted that by somebody who watched it and didn't want it anymore. Do you want a Blu-ray? I said, okay.
So, Dan, have you watched that?
No.
Okay, no, I want you to watch it. And Jimmy, I've never seen an ending like that in my life. No, honestly, it is. I say this a lot, but in this case, I really mean it. I've never seen anything like the end of that movie. Like, trust me, just watch it, and I want your opinion, because nobody can figure out what's going on there. All they know is it's one of the weirdest things you'll ever see put to film.
Seriously, get your bin ready after you finish watching it. Make sure the bin's open so you can chuck it in there.
Well, he knew that was going to be a case because Chris recommended it. So it's going to be someone being maimed or cutting off.
Let's have a look at. Let's look forward to. Let's look forward to a little purity, shall we? Courtesy of Paddington. Any Paddington fans on the panel?
Yes, me.
The Mega Geek's a mega fan of the bear. Go on, yes. So this is the third movie.
Yeah. So this is Paddington. Is he looking for his aunt or something like that? His aunt goes missing.
Well, I've got the synopsis here. It says Paddington returns to Peru to visit his beloved Aunt Lucy, who resides at the home for retired bears. This is just wonderful stuff. With the Brown family in tow, a thrilling adventure ensues when a mystery plunges them all into an unexpected journey. This sounds really, really wholesome stuff. Lots of fun. Of course, with a lot of these movies that are set in Britain that revolve around British icons like Paddington Bear, for the third one, they're moving it abroad. It reminds me when Crocodile Dundee sort of went back to the outback. It's that kind of thing to mix things up a little bit. The first two films were massively successful. Ben Wishaw's returned for this one. Sally Hawkins isn't there as the mother. She's gone, replaced by Emily Mortimer. But I know, big shocker.
What?
But the rest of the Brown family, as originally played, they're all in there. Like what's his name from Downton Abbey?
Emily Mortimer as the mother. That's fine.
Yeah, it's a decent enough, decent enough replacement, isn't it? The director's Douglas Wilson, so I think this is a different director to the first two, and there has been a greater period of time between this one and the second film. But there's a big appetite for more Paddington, and I must admit that when I saw the trailer to this, I was surprised by how pleased I was to see him again. John, I grew up with the Paddington animations, the ones that were sort of hand-drawn in black and white in places where Paddington was the only three-dimensional colour character moving through them. So, to me, that will always be Paddington, but, these are a close second.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with them like you and, had the Paddington teddy bear, and these are just nice family fun, aren't they, really?
They are.
For all we know about this one, it's going to be an all-out action movie and he's going to be carrying an AK-47 or something like that.
Stripped down to a vest like John McClane.
Yeah, just running through glass.
Yeah, it turns out that the home for retired bears has been seized by an insurgent force, and he's got to storm the place at night.
So there's the plane in the background chasing him.
That happening. Look, Paddington was the perfect person to have tea with the Queen, right? That's why we love Paddington. I'm so psyched they're doing more of these. This production team, they've knocked it out the park.
They did.
The
reason why I like Paddington so much is because it's very moving. The first one was very moving. The second one had Hugh Grant in it, and it was funny. The bit where, I'm pretty sure everyone saw the second one, but the bit where you thought he was going to drown, I was like on the edge of my seat. I was like, bloody hell, get him out of there. Imagine that, a CGI bear making you feel that way. That's how good these movies are. They're so.
And Ian, they feel like, despite the special effects work, how great the bear looks and all the environments.
Yeah.
They seem, at their heart, like the kind of films we used to get 20 years ago. There's no politicization at all. Yeah. And even though they're set in the modern day, they could easily be set, the 1960s, the 1930s. It's about family life. It's about real people. And I think that's why they do so well.
Yeah. It's about the kindness from Paddington, especially in the second one, where they set it up there in the beginning where he was helping everyone before he goes to work or before he does what he does, and at the end, then they all come and help him, don't they? All the people that he helped.
Yeah,
it's just about kindness, that's all, and I hope that carries through on this one as well. I did see a scene in the trailer where it was like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and some big boulder was kind of going and he was running from the boulder. I thought that was quite funny, but I'm looking forward to this because I'm a huge fan of the first two. The first two, especially the second one, knocked it out of the park. So I'm looking
Paddington in jail. That was
absolutely
it's
brilliant.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah,
I was wondering how he made
Absolutely
all the jail nice, right?
Yeah,
It was so funny.
Do you
They're
guys?
all wearing pink or something at the end.
Yeah, it's funny.
Do you guys?
Lovely.
Do you guys on X
It's
follow
clean, simple fun. We don't get any of that. I love it. Please, please.
Totally.
Don't have him tongue kissing another bloke, right? You don't need to do that.
Another beer. Sorry, John, what were you saying?
I was going to say, do you guys follow the guy on X where he goes, I Photoshop Paddington into a scene until I forget, and he does it every day? It's brilliant. It's got like the alien queen and it's like,
Oh
Paddington
yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
brilliant. I have to send you the links out, but
I did follow it for
every
a
day.
while. There's several accounts like that, and I must admit, after a couple of months, I get a little bit bored with them. But I think everybody should follow them for a little while at least, because the joke does stay funny for quite a long time. Really.
Even the Christmas advert with Paddington was moving as well. I don't know if you remember that one where the guy was stealing all the present. He thought he was Santa, and he was putting all. And it was just just wonderful. I love Paddington. It's like one of my favorite.
The copyright on Paddington run out?
Don't know.
Quite a way.
Because anybody ever seen Blood and Honey?
Yeah, I never saw it, but
that's the Winnie the Pooh one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got the first one. The second one is coming out from Scream Factory right before Christmas. So I'm waiting for the copyright to run out on like everything, and
Paddington.
then
Didn't they do a Mickey Mouse one, Chris, as well? Or
Yeah,
they are doing one.
Yeah.
And Tigger couldn't be in the first Blood and Honey movie because his copyright for some reason hadn't run out yet. But his copyright had run out, so he's really sadistic in the second one.
Really sadistic. I mean, that's obviously the Paddington in Peru movie that could complete the trilogy for Paddington. For all we know, that could be all there is, or maybe there'll be more cast changes. Maybe Hugh Bonneville will depart next. I don't know. They could carry on making them, couldn't they?
Yeah,
they could carry on.
Made these forever. They really could.
One thing they're not going to be making forever, though, are the Venom movies. That's wrapping up right now in cinemas with Venom: The Last Dance, starring Tom Hardy and Juno Temple. Presently in cinemas, Eddie and Venom are on the run, hunted by both of their worlds. And with the net closing in, the duo are forced into a devastating decision that will bring the curtains down on Venom and Eddie's last dance. The last one was noisy nonsense, even by this fictional universe's standards, and strangely, it sent me to sleep. I've never gone back to it, never rewatched it. Perhaps I ought to, because I did love the first film. This is from new director Kelly Marcel, who's an old friend of yours, Ian. I know you mentioned before. But again, the trailer was kind of fun for 3 minutes, but I don't know if I could make it through 100 minutes of this. Rabbi, I understand that you have.
I've got through about 30 minutes of it, right?
Okay, that's not good.
Of it. I just got bored. It was like it was too much of a bog standard superhero movie. Nothing of interest there at all. I mean, look, I like Tom Hardy. I like he's got work. He obviously enjoys doing this, but it's not bad. But it's not, at least in the first half hour, just didn't hook me at all. Right, it's like Penguin. Like Penguin, I watched the first episode. I got halfway through the second. I said I'd rather be watching Sopranos. Now I'm happily enjoying season 4 of the Sopranos. Right, having ditched Penguin a while ago.
So do you think that this was really that there was only really one movie in? If not Venom, then this version of Venom.
And I mean, maybe they could have done more. They just weren't good enough. Bottom line, I mean, like the second movie, again, you're absolutely right. Loud and noisy, and I fell asleep. 100% correct. It doesn't really work without Spider-Man, really. That's really
See, and yet the comics, Venom has had his own comic series for much of the last 30 years. So the proof of concept and the storied history of Venom is there, and yet, we do all feel a little bit kind of venomed out already. That really shouldn't be the case, John.
No, not at all. I think for me, I always wanted it to be like a hard R movie, and I was never going to get that for Venom. And I watched the first one. I didn't enjoy the first one. The second one was absolutely atrocious, and I can't get my legs to function to go up to the cinema and watch this one.
I'd love to care, because I think Tom Hardy is great. I think he's very well cast in this. I think he always looks like he's having a good time. He's completely committed to what is a very, very silly role in a far, far sillier film. But it's something is just not working with this. And I think perhaps, in light of what's happened in the broader culture over the last few years, what they should have really done was to have just pulled out all the stops and put Venom, as played by Tom Hardy, against Tom Holland's Spider-Man, because that's
Yeah.
really what people want
that
to
would be
see
good.
now.
That
Or
would
them
make too
teaming
much
up
sense.
somehow.
Yeah, it would. And you know it's coming though, because that's why they dropped in the little element of symbiote into the Marvel universe. So
Right, that was the whole point of that.
Yeah, they've got plans, haven't they?
And
to
yet,
have
well, Tom
Venom.
Hardy is convinced, or he's stating. I mean, Hugh Jackman also said this today. Tom Hardy's saying that he's never going to play this role again. That this is it. That's that.
Probably.
He's got a tax bill he needs to pay.
Yeah.
I'd say
Yeah.
this movie has everything working against it that could possibly ever work against a movie. One, the last Venom movie was awful
Shit.
to the point where, I try not to swear so I don't get my friend Dan in
Thank you.
trouble. But yes,
Thank you.
but since you said it, it was shit. So you have that. You have general superhero fatigue, which is a thing. You have the normies who many probably still don't realize that the MCU and the Sony movies are not the same thing. So you got that, because aside from the fluke that was Deadpool and Wolverine, the MCU is trash. And I think Madam Web, for anybody who has even seen videos related on that, I think that was I don't think the Sony Spider-Verse is going to survive Madam Web, when even the actors have come out and said this is terrible. So I would say I will not be watching this, because even hearing it described, I'm literally nodding off. It's enough already. Just take all the comic book movies, wrap them into a ball for now, throw them off a cliff, bury them, then maybe in 20 years you can try again.
I mean,
As much as I'm looking forward to Superman next year, I remain very much on board for that. I find it hard to argue against that, and I think that even though Venom isn't necessarily a conventional superhero movie to us, John, there are differences. You know, to the general public, all they see is this is the Spider-Man that's not Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I think you know what Ian was talking about a few minutes ago about Heretic. I like the fact that there are films like that coming out that are different, and as opposed to, it's just another superhero movie that, you know, it's a copy and paste script and story. You know, here we go again. Chris is right on the superhero fatigue. I don't know. I think that is true, and I think that everybody, even the general public, are just seeing it like, I've seen all this before, but they won't rest it. They need to at least give themselves a couple of years, really, on these films, with the exception of Superman. I'll give you that, Dan, because I'm looking forward to that one. But the rest of them, scrub them for a couple of years, leave them be, then go again.
I think James Gunn's about to completely reinvigorate the superhero movie.
I really hope so.
It's not impossible.
Fingers crossed.
The way I view it is, sorry, go ahead, Ian.
No, fingers crossed. It's just fingers crossed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
no, there are optimistic things that I see in Superman, but here's the way I view it, and I'm viewing this from the perspective of, the normies, the general audience, the people that don't follow comic book lore, and to be honest, a lot of them don't even know the difference between Marvel and DC.
Most of them don't.
So I think even if Superman is great, aside Deadpool and Wolverine, I think it was a fluke. It's also a carryover from before the days that everything went to complete crap. I think people in general are just sick to death of. Oh, just a second, I'm going to turn that off. Okay. I think normal people are they're sick to death of comic book movies. Aside from Deadpool, it's all been terrible. The TV shows have been awful. The movies just keep getting worse. They're like, oh, okay, Spider-Man. Well, I don't know. I just suffered through Madam Web or that Venom movie or whatever's been on the MCU universe. Yeah. Or what I've watched on TV.
Yeah, we'll come to that later.
I think Superman has a lot, just like Venom, even if it is a good movie, has a lot working against it. And I think this Venom movie is something else that will be working against Superman, even though it's a different studio, different comic book franchise. It's just another mediocre movie, comic book movie. So I don't think comics, even if Superman is, like, I don't know, Iron Man 1 good, I don't know if this is going to reinvigorate it. I think it's one of these things where it's like the state of action movies, say by the early 2000s, everybody was sick to death of them. It didn't know it didn't matter what you came out with. The franchise was gonna the genre needed to rest. I think that's what's going to go on with comic book movies. I think
these things move in cycles, don't they, Chris?
Yeah.
You're quite right. People were tired of those kind of Jerry Bruckheimer action movies by the late 90s. What sort of took its place for a little while was a sort of a modern epic, not just the Lord of the Rings films, but Ridley Scott's Gladiator
Harry
movie.
Potter.
And yes, that is a segue into this. This is out on November the 15th. Gladiator 2 from the same director, Ridley Scott, is finally released. He's been talking about doing this for quite a long time, initially with the original star of that first film, Russell Crowe, involved. I understand that was a completely different script and it was all thrown out and started again several years ago. But Ridley Scott is still the director, still very much the lead creative. This one, we've got the synopsis here. It says, after his home is conquered by the tyrannical emperors who now lead Rome, Lucius is forced to enter the Colosseum and must look to his past to find strength to return the glory of Rome to its people. It stars Paul Mescal, who I've never seen in anything, so in my view, that's a good thing. I like to see new actors alongside Denzel Washington and the ubiquitous Pedro Pascal there. I don't know what to expect of this. I've seen the trailer. It didn't look awful. I don't know. Will I go to the cinema to see this? I haven't quite decided yet. I haven't seen a good film by Ridley Scott in quite a long time. This could really undo another stitch in his legacy. I mean, what are your thoughts, Ian? You are a huge Ridley Scott fan, traditionally, aren't you? But you feel that he's very much lost his way as the last couple of decades has gone by.
Well, the thing is, this is just to me, this is just a cash grab. That's why it comes across for me.
If it was a cash grab, wouldn't he have made it 20 years ago?
Well, he didn't have the chance to. Remember the pandemic happened and stuff like that, so everything was pushed back. But he was going to make it, wasn't he? With as you said, with Russell Crowe. But the thing is, though, I'm not interested in this. I saw the trailer today when I went to see Heretics, and I sat there and I went, do I really want to see this? And the audience watched it because the cinema was quite packed, and they all went. There was no. I'm really excited. You couldn't feel any excitement in the audience. They were just
there's
like
no
by
buzz.
the by, isn't it? Yeah, by the by, and whatever. I mean, if it's a good film, it's a good film. If I get the chance, I won't go out my way to watch it in the cinema. I'll watch it on TV.
Because the success of Gladiator did lead to movies like Kingdom of Heaven with Orlando Bloom, didn't it? Yeah. And Princes of Egypt. So that it did start something off that finished quite a long time ago. I can't remember the last time I saw a film like this in the cinema. But
and
I can't.
CGI stuff in there as well. In the trailer, I was thinking, oh, okay, CGI.
The original Gladiator was a breakthrough film for CGI, wasn't it? Because there was a lot of CGI in it that we didn't know was CGI. Rabbi, that's how I remember it.
Stuff, who was it? Who died in the middle of filming?
Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed. Yeah, they did something quite good. So look, the question is this: does the advantage that Denzel Washington gives you, like I will go and see any Denzel Washington movie. I love Denzel Washington. Does that counteract the drag factor of Pedro Pascal?
Nope. Rabbi, I will not see this movie. I am so sick of Pedro Pascal. I can't stand him. I can't even stand looking at him. I'm like, why is he suddenly being cast in everything? Mandalorian, okay, 2 good seasons, went to complete poop.
Reed Richards makes me angry. Sorry, I just got to say that.
There was that. Then there was The Last of Us. At that point, I'm like, I can't stand you, dude. He was like Nicolas Cage's Magnificent Talent movie. I'm like, well, that wasn't Pedro. Then he was in the Wonder Woman movies. That was terrible.
Oh, Lord,
I think he might actually take down the MCU because as soon as I saw him cast in Fantastic Four, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This has got to be a joke. Why do you keep casting this guy?
Fantastic Four, what a nightmare having him in it.
Yeah, and as soon as I didn't even know he was in this because I wasn't interested in this at all until Dan, you brought up the poster. As soon as I saw his name, I'm like, nope, I will not see it. This
I think
is not
Chris
even bargain bin worthy.
I think that a good strategy from this point onwards is just to assume that Pedro Pascal is in everything until we know otherwise.
Yeah, pretty much. You're just like, why? Like, why are you trying to make this guy a star? I'm sorry. No, I'm sure. Well, actually, I don't know what his politics are. Oh, actually, no, I do.
Oh, I know.
we do.
Actually, yeah, we do. Okay, so I was going to say I'm sure he's a nice person, but no, I'm like, no, he's not going to be a star. He sucks. I'm sorry. He sucks. That's all I'm saying. Just stop casting him in everything. God damn it. Sorry, I'm not going to do a rant.
I do believe, I mean, certainly Pedro Pascal's involvement in Fantastic Four has next to killed my interest in it, despite being a big Fantastic Four fan. I think I said that last week. As regards this, his presence, I don't know, he just looks like a kind of the standard villainous kind of henchman type. I'm hanging on to the fact that the new lead, Paul Mescal, does look quite good. That Denzel Washington, other good people are in it.
I mean, Denzel was great. He looks great in the trailer as well.
But I'm very undecided about whether it's a theatrical. This is the kind of movie that you could watch it at home, John, and you could think to yourself, "Oh, I really wish I'd have seen that at the cinema." But it could so easily go the other way as well. It's a 50-50.
Yeah, I won't go to the cinema to watch it. I'll check it out when it comes out for me to watch at home. But I loved the first one. I thought that just wrapped itself up perfectly.
It did.
I didn't want a sequel at all.
I mean, in all fairness, this is meant to be. It's in the same world, but they're new characters. It's several decades on.
Yeah,
you could question the wisdom in calling it literally Gladiator 2. I don't necessarily think they're at fault setting another story in that world and in that timeline.
Yeah,
I don't think it interferes with it in any way until you call it Gladiator 2, and then you create the problem.
I don't like it. I think I saw from the trailer like they're looking up at his shield or his armor, aren't they? And referencing back to it. And I was like, I just don't want any of that. I just think I have to agree with Ian on it. I do think, it's 20 years later, but it is a cash in because, it's a quick way for him to make money now, isn't it? To slap a Gladiator 2 on it and get it out in the cinemas. I think it goes back again to, I think Hollywood is in such a mess at the moment that this is all they're coming up with, with the exceptions of things like Heretic that we talked about earlier, A24 and films like that. Yeah. And they're literally, it's just, they're playing it safe. They're going, okay, what worked for us previously? Oh, okay. Gladiator. We'll greenlight a Gladiator 2. Okay.
Yeah, I see that.
Predator. We'll do another Predator movie. That's the kind of problem we've got at the moment. And it's because they're playing it safe.
They're either going with what worked for them before or what has worked, been very successful elsewhere.
Well,
I'm looking specifically.
Like the lack of Russell Crowe is part of what made that first movie, and he's an actor that would not be able to play this anymore. Because he's let himself go a bit. Great actor though.
Yeah, still a great
I saw him
actor.
recently in in The Exorcism, which is not related to the Pope's Exorcist. I guess he's doing exorcist movies. It was an awful movie, like terrible, but his performance was but his performance is actually really good. But he's it's a lot of us let ourselves.
Who's the main star in this one, Dan? The main star in this.
Paul Mescal, the guy's name is.
Well, when I saw his face, I didn't. I'm like, is this the lead? Because he looks like a face that would be in the background. Do you know what I mean? Or someone helping the main star.
See, I used to feel that way about Glenn Powell when I saw him listed as being in Top Gun Maverick, and it hit the initial cluster of films that he was in, and now he's a big star. Yeah. So I think that stars can come out of roles this in films like this, and it may even have been the success of Top Gun Maverick that actually got this finally into production, because Ridley Scott is not the guaranteed earner that he used to be for studios.
But I mean, with Powell, you can see he looks like a star. This guy, I don't know. And it's the same thing with Denzel Washington's son as well. They keep trying to push him, saying that he's a star. He's not.
I've not seen him
at all. He's not a leading person at all.
And this won't have the same, like Top Gun Maverick. it had star power. It had Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main reasons why it links back to the original one. Goes to the same thing I was just saying. This doesn't have Russell Crowe. You don't even have that. I will bet money that this is going to be another complete flop. Because we're also, this is another unnecessary sequel. And not only do we have superhero burnout, we have remake and sequel burnout. So I won't be seeing it, even without Pedro Pascal. I'd have no interest in seeing it. I have better things to do at home. I will bet everybody now this is going to be a massive flop.
I think you're right there. I don't think anyone's going to go see it.
And
I must say, I think it's certainly going to go with a bit of a whimper. I can't see it. I can't see it emulating the success of the original or particularly exciting a new generation of.
And the soundtrack.
This seems like it'll be better for Disney, not Disney, for Apple Plus, right? Like Napoleon. See, that's the thing. Yeah. Today, with today's TVs, it's fine watching an epic movie at home. It's better. Like I saw the extended Napoleon, right, which was like 3 hours. Was that really Scott as well?
I
loved it. I thought
that was Joaquin Phoenix.
Especially as I need about 3p breaks now, so watching it at home does work.
Exactly, it's much more convenient, right? Yeah. We all got big screen TVs, like 4K, whatever. It's
Oh, Rabbi, was that the Joaquin Phoenix Napoleon? Or is that...
Yes, it was very good. I really liked it.
I've heard mixed things. I've heard it was awful, and I've heard it was good. Although if you say it was good, that might pique my interest, even though I don't have Apple.
Well, what's the extended cut, which is it's like an extra half hour long? You got a lot more Vanessa. Oh, here's a question: Vanessa Kirby in Fantastic Four. Does Vanessa Kirby counteract the drag factor of Pedro Pascal? I don't know.
No.
Not quite. No, I think the problem there is she can't on her own. I think had they cast somebody great or somebody with a look, I've got nothing against the two guys playing Johnny or Ben. I'm sure they're both as good as people tell me they are, but I don't know them from anything, so they're unknowns. And then there's a drag factor for me putting Robert Downey Jr. behind Dr. Doom's mask. Massive mistake. So there's nothing. Vanessa Kirby is the sole factor about that movie that I'm interested in.
I will give my final word on Fantastic Four. I would rather watch Fan Four stick on a loop than sit through that movie. That's all I have to say. I'm more optimistic about the 10-year-old flop Fan Four stick than this.
Let's move on. And
what's the unreleased Robert Corman version? Would you use
that's all. I can't bring myself to hate anything Roger Corman did. He made these things with a budget, like a shoestring budget.
And did a great job entertaining us.
He made it with the budget of, like, I don't know, Tim Hortons coffee. I'm like, it's. I find his movies fascinating.
Not quite.
How did you do this with no money?
So we're going from a state of play where the big studios are looking to repeat success that they've had 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago with formulas and kind of low-level brands that have kind of endured since Gladiator, Twisters, all those things that are being sort of brought back, given a fresh lick of paint. Some are hitting and some aren't. But they're also looking for guaranteed hits elsewhere with things that have come from other medias. That's nothing new, is it? But this one in particular, I think, is one that will get people who don't necessarily go to the cinema habitually back there, whether it's good or not. And I think a great many of them don't need to see a trailer for Wicked before they decide whether they're going to go and see it or not. The fan base for this brand, I'd certainly underestimated it, is absolutely phenomenal. This movie version is the first of a two-part movie adaptation of the musical that was first performed in 2003, 2004. So this is the first part. It's directed by a guy called John M. Shue. I've not heard that name before. It stars Ariana Grande, who I know is or was a pop star, and Cynthia Erivo, who's a huge West End star, alongside Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Yeoh, Jonathan Bailey, Bowen Yang, and Peter Dinklage. I wonder who he's playing. We've talked about this a little before. We all confess none of us are particularly big fans of Wicked, but most of us are fans of the Wizard of Oz as a thing, as a cultural thing, all the way stretching all the way back to the MGM classic movie and the various versions and extensions we've had before. Wicked is phenomenally popular. That cannot really be debated. But every year, it seems to me, in the run-up to Christmas, they do bank on one huge film being the film of the season. They seem to have all the smart money put here, not just this Christmas, but next Christmas as well. So if it hits, this is going to be a massive cash cow. But if it doesn't, for whatever reason, then they'll never live it down, because it's obviously because it's been so successful before. Do you remember Cats, the musical of Cats? Looking at the trailer for this, it's certainly visually opulent. The fans seem happy. They've got people who can sing in the roles. Pierce Brosnan's nowhere near this, John.
There's no way this isn't going to tank. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What makes you so convinced of that? 'Cause
Because normal people don't go, oh, let's go and see some faggy shit at the cinema, okay? Which is what this is. I don't know what this is, but it feels like more queer shit to me, right? I mean, and it's what it's not. I mean,
Rabbi.
Everything. If I want to campaign with everything fucking queer.
Well, musical theatre.
Right? You know,
Musical.
I'll be like, oh, that's nice. I'm like, okay, you have to have Doctor Who and put his tongue up Ross's arse, who can now walk around.
Musical theatre is inherently camp. That's this, isn't it? I mean, so whilst I don't agree with that statement.
Not everything all the time.
Imagine Rabbi though. Imagine how many people have been to see that musical who enjoyed it so much they're not going to miss this at the cinema. I mean, there's a chance that if it's crap, they won't go and see part 2. Oh, it's not as good as the stage play. It completely ruined it for me. There's a chance that may happen, but I believe that I think people are going to come. I think this is going to be fucking huge.
Nope.
This first one.
Nope.
Is this Disney?
Nope.
Mark my words.
Nope.
No, nothing to do with Disney.
Was it Warner? Is it, or which is the movie company?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Warner's.
Because sure. I've heard that there's people that are already getting hacked off because they've stretched it out. I don't know anything about Wicked myself, but they've stretched it out and they're now doing a 2-parter. So
that's what I said.
That. Yeah,
that's what I said at the start. Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, you go to the theatre. Most productions like this do last about 3 hours. They have an intermission. Just generally speaking, they will boil something like that down to 100 minutes for people like us who, I wouldn't go and see this on the stage if they'd have to pay me, John.
I'd rather sit on the stage, which is where it should be. Yeah, but again, I just can't see this breaking out of its niche audience, right? The niche audience is going to love it. How big is that niche audience? It's not going to get normie appeal, and that's what you need for real money.
Well, Cats was a huge hit, wasn't it? Cats was a huge hit. Cats was a huge hit on stage, but then when they made the film, it was a huge flop. Wasn't it?
It's a very, very badly made film.
I know.
Yeah.
It's
fascinatingly bad.
The James Corden effect. Yeah.
The James Corden, who actually was a bigger pussy on his TV show than he was in that movie.
I don't think this. I think any chance this movie had of going anywhere was when Cynthia What's-Her-Face pulled a Zegler. This is a movie that has been sunk by ego. I was never going to watch it, so I was never the. I'm interested to see Cats just because it's legendary as to its creep factor, and that's about it. But I would have had no interest in seeing this before. I don't like that actress. I saw her a couple years ago in The Outsiders, which was a Stephen King 10-parter. I think it was on. It might have been on Hulu originally. We got it on Crave in Canada. Her character just dragged that whole thing down. You could just the smugness was just coming off her to the point where I almost stopped watching it, but I wanted to see what would happen. But this one is, I think, and Zegler. I think we can officially call it the Zegler effect.
It seems so.
Regular people are so sick of these people and their egos. And I think that little ad the MCU ad. I think that may have done more damage to the MCU going forward than their last 5 films, as soon as half the country saw that. But I think people are just so sick of these people and their egos. And this blew up all over the place. Like, that was everywhere. Even people that normally support these things are like, what is wrong with you? It's so, I would say, maybe I could have seen it. It may have had a chance before, but I think as soon as that blew up, I think that was the end of it. I don't think
I think this is an interesting cast list. Anything with Jeff Goldblum in tends to be, more often than not, worth seeing. Peter Dinklage, I do like him, even though he's a bit of a gobshite. Jonathan Bailey, most famous for Bridgerton, but again, a likeable actor, has been around for quite a long time. Michelle Yeoh, getting a bit tired of seeing Michelle Yeoh in everything now, although I've always liked her.
Yeah.
Ariana Grande, I feel, has the personality of a packet of salt and vinegar crisps. In fact, scrub that. I really like salt and vinegar crisps.
I think I don't know what
this could be
rice cake.
But in all honesty, as a rice cake, that's a better example. But in all honesty, I think in her case, she's been a pop star for quite a long time. Making this transition is probably right for her. Whether she can actually act or not, I'm not seeing too much evidence of that from the trailer. She looks very bland to me. So I was most excited about the woman playing the Wicked Witch of the West, this Cynthia Erivo, a totally unknown quantity to me because I'm not a musical theatre guy. So I thought this person has got to sort of wow us in this role, and personally, I've no problem with it whatsoever. If somebody's got this massive track record on the stage, then they absolutely should come to the cinema and play these sorts of parts. But you're quite right; she has pulled a Ziegler, and she completely lost her shit over a fan-made poster, a fan edit, as they now call them, of the theatrical poster. So we've got on the left. You can see what caused all the fuss. So on the left, let me just explain. On the left, we have the movie poster as it was released a few weeks ago, telling people that movie tickets are on sale now. Come and see our film. There should be the drum roll, shouldn't it? And you've got the 2 stars there. And you can see that it's a riff on the poster that we've all seen. It's iconic to the theatre production. And then a fan, as I say, Wicked has got this enormous fan base, saw that and did what a lot of fans do and just did a customization of it to make it look more like the original iconic stage theatre poster. And Miss Erivo completely lost it, didn't she? She went onto Instagram posting how this is the wildest, most offensive thing I have seen. Equally awful to that awful AI of us fighting. Equal to people posing the question, is your P blank 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 green? She went on to say, the original poster is an illustration. I am a real-life human being who chose to look down the barrel of the camera at you, the viewer, because without words, we communicate with our eyes. Our poster is a homage, not an imitation. To edit my face and hide my eyes is to erase me, and that is just deeply hurtful. I mean, what a odious, cretinous statement to put out into the public space on the brink, not just of a film coming out, but potentially harpooning your own career. That this woman could have been a huge international movie star, and now I understand even her co-stars are distancing themselves from her over this response.
Well, and look at anybody remember our friend Captain Marvel, good old Brie?
Yes. Okay.
How many? Look at her filmography. Other than contractual appearances in Marvel movies and that disaster that came out last year, that little thing about white dudes, that video clip, that ended her career. Ziegler ended her career. She's the only thing you're going to see her in are things that she was doing beforehand. Hollywood is dumb, but they're not that dumb. They know when somebody, or like Amber Heard, they know when somebody, like, her career's done too. They know when somebody is complete box office poison, and even with The Message, it's not worth casting these people. So no, her career is done, and it's like, let this be a lesson to you. You suck.
Yeah.
I was trying to work out what she was most angry about, Ian. Was it simply the ego of somebody who was like very, very starry, used to all eyes being on her? This is her big chance, her big role. How dare you hide my face? Or was there some element of a racial segregation argument around, as if to say, you're trying to she says here to erase me. Erase me. That's something we see in that debate, isn't it? In that racial argument, the way that's framed.
Their minds are in a different universe, so she's probably thought it's racial.
That idea that black people's contribution to history over the years has been erased, has been washed away. So it's her choice to use that expression, John. That's what makes your ears prick up. If not, I'd just put it down to some great big ego with a great big gob losing their shit and forgetting who they're talking to and why.
Do you know what I think? Do you know what I think Hollywood needs to do going forward is they need to go around the US. They need to get the childminders for daycare for kids, and they need to take them and they need to get them to look after these actors on a daily basis to make sure that they don't say this stupid stuff when they're trying to promote a film, because they just cannot hold
John,
it in.
Can't help themselves.
I have a much simpler solution, right? For just $10,000 a day. Just $10,000 a day. I will advise you: are you a twat or not? Right? Twat or not? Right? Should I protest? The bees being eaten in Brazil? No, you're being a twat.
Dan, can I ask you a question? So the woman who plays the green girl, was she? Did she come from the stage from that?
That's right.
From that play? So she's the original, one of the original actresses that did that play.
No, because it was Jodie. What was the name of the original girl? The big blonde girl. She was the first one to play it in 2003, wasn't she? So she wasn't one of the original cast members, but apparently she's had success in that role on stage. Right. Yeah, it's made a star out of a lot of people, just as a lot of the Andrew Lloyd Webber ones have. Wicked has been just as successful and has made a lot of careers.
I don't know what she's complaining about.
Me neither.
The normie audience, right? Why did the Harry Potters work so well? Because it had a big niche audience, but they're also very good and it united the normie audience, right? I mean, did the Twilight ignite the normie audience?
No, well, certain demographics. Harry Potter was more universal, but say if Harry Potter were to come out now, you'd have somebody like Emma Watson completely tank that movie because we know what she's like. Yes. And I think we're at a point now where this has been going on for so many years. I know because we've been covering it for so many years. I think the normies again are so sick of these people because even though they're not dialed into everything, they can see what's going on to a certain extent. And I think as soon as because that her little thingy temper tantrum there was everywhere, so everybody saw it. So I think we're at a point now where like I was saying, even one person can tank it. Like Emma Watson, if Harry Potter were to come out now, she would tank that entire movie because she'd be giving her little speeches. And even that picture, I'm like, are you proud of that picture? She looks like she has to take a dump in that picture. I'm like, you're not even acting.
I don't know.
Very method.
Do you think
got a
it's
comment
all to
here.
do with the color of her skin? Do you reckon it's because of that? With that. You think so?
I think
she doesn't really mention that, does she, Dan?
No, but I think you hear it like simmering underneath.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's the choice. I wouldn't have thought that the racial argument was anywhere until she uses the phrase "to erase me." That's what makes you think. Why
alarm
that
bells
phrase?
ring, don't they? Yeah,
because this is somebody this is clearly an edit that's been made by somebody who loves Wicked and is mega excited for this film, and that's okay. It's just one person, but then they're going to look at it in the same way now. And then
why aren't actors appreciative of what they get? I mean, this is her big
Exactly.
chance. Why
I
is she
don't know.
being so stupid?
Because ego
Yeah.
comes with it. It's
I have got another quote here. Stephen Braddock here in the live chat says, I saw the trailer for Wicked in the cinema last month. It left me cold. It had none of the charm of the original Oz classic and was stuffed full of CGI. That's the one thing I do agree with. When I saw the trailer, I thought, my God, there's a lot of CGI in this film. I would have thought... I mean, maybe the actual film could be different. I don't know. Maybe there'll be some practical effects and some creatures in there. But it was all CGI environments. I mean, we talk about things having a carryover, Rabbi. And I'm going to stand by that and say I think this is going to be massively successful. But I do remember, because obviously this is generally going to appeal more to women and homosexual men. That's the market. But in the past, things that have appealed to women in one format hasn't translated necessarily to box office success. Even though they made 3 of them, I don't know anybody who owns up to having seen any of those 50 Shades of Grey movies. And look how many. Look how many.
I saw them. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, I was it 3 girls dragged me to them. Would you believe?
Oh,
really?
I
I
didn't want to go and see
sit.
them.
And what they do
I
to you
sit
next?
corrected. Yeah, I mean, obviously,
What the
this
end
is
life.
this is how when people mention the Wicked Witch of the West and Glinda the Good Witch, of course, this is how I view them in that original film from way back in the 1930s, starring Judy Garland. But there are a generation of people who they do think of the musical, and maybe it will be the same when it comes to this film. Maybe Ariana Grande. And I have to keep looking. I have to keep looking. Cynthia Erivo are going to become synonymous with Wicked. I don't know. I wouldn't like to say it's not impossible, but she's done a really good job of harpooning any potential that this had. I personally would have had this woman, had this actress meet with whoever created this fan edit in a massive publicity exercise to try and bring it back around, but they haven't done that. They seem to be hoping it'll go away, John.
She should have just said, "I loved it." I mean, that's a brilliant posting.
I think,
even if she didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's like in my industry, I work in an industry where customer service is important, and the old saying, if you do one good thing, they tell one person. If you do a bad thing, they tell 10 people. So that person that's done that poster, they've probably told 10 people. It's then gone viral. So they've probably told a load of people as well. And on and on and on until, like you say, the word is around everywhere. And they're going,
no coming back.
Parents are going, not watching this, not taking kids to see this because of that horrible person in it. So that could happen.
What is it
I mean,
with
there's
witches
a lot of
anyway?
people are pointing out that two parts is not a good strategy. Look,
No,
it worked. It worked for June It worked for June. It worked for June very nicely. It worked for the Harry Potter. It worked for the Hunger Games. It does work. I have to disagree.
We'll find
I
out.
think she thinks it's going to tank.
We'll find out.
I'm not saying it will, but it has in the past. It's a perfectly serviceable strategy that has been successful before.
Well, we'll see. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not interested in musicals.
No, we're not other than Rabbi. We're not the target audience for this.
No.
I'm going to say it right now. We've seen it before. When something goes viral like that, there is no coming back from it. You have one chance to get people interested, normies interested in your movie, and when they associate your movie with that, and they have a choice of 6 movies or whatever it is to go see on a weekend, they're not going to go pick this because of that. I think maybe if she hadn't done that, it might have done well. I don't think if this thing flops, it's not going to be because of the 2-part thing, because it does work. It worked with Dune, like Dan was saying, with other things. I think this has an entirely different problem, is that their stars sunk the movie before it even premiered. So I'm being more of a negative Nelly than normal, but I'm going to predict another flop. Here's the question. Okay, so place your bets. Which is going to flop worse, this or Gladiator 2? Place your money.
Oh, Gladiator 2.
I don't think either of them are going to flop. I think Gladiator 2 might sink without a trace. I still think that this will be. I think that this will be fine, because the majority of people, that if they do use social media and follow these people, we've got pretty short memories for this sort of stuff, and I think it'll be fine. It's just too big. There's too much appetite for it. I think it will be fine. But what I do doubt is whether it's the two. For all that I've just said about the two parts, because it does and has worked, will they be willing to go back next year to see the resolution to a story that they already know? They're not going. It worked with Harry Potter. People have read the book. I think it's probably going to be huge. We've got a further quote from Cynthia Erivo here. She has spoken since. We haven't got an apology, but she told The Hollywood Reporter, after the furore about the fan edit, look, I'm passionate about it, and I know the fans are passionate about it, and I think for me, it was just like a human moment of wanting to protect little Elphaba, who apparently is the name of the Wicked Witch of the West. And it was like, she goes on to repeat herself, and it was like a human moment. So if we get that, everybody, a human moment. She means translation. She means she made a mistake. It's a balls up. You're not getting an apology, but she knows she's fucked up. And she closes by saying, I probably should have called my friends.
I could tell you exactly what happened. She was called into an executive production office because I guarantee blood pressures went through the roof as soon as people who have a financial vested interest in this saw that. So I guarantee she's had, shall we say, a talking to, and I'm pretty sure somebody told her, your career is done. You're not recovering from this.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you, Bowles. What do you think hurt a movie more, this or the Hulk movie with Eric Bana being leaked online with a bad cut of it about 2 weeks before it came out?
I don't know if a bad cut is gonna. Again, from the perspective of regular people, are they going to see the bad cut? Probably not. How many people are actually going to watch a bad cut? So I'd say, in terms of exposure, saying really stupid, alienating things is going to be much worse than a bad cut.
That's true.
Not bad does not help, but I think this is worse because this is much more public, and I don't.
Yeah, people just got so much. What's it? Entitlement. Oh,
that's exactly the word, and that's you have to understand the world they live in. Oh, I'm getting paid millions of dollars to do this. I'm a star, so I guess maybe human nature. You think of yourself as above other people, and then you act with that assumption, and then it blows up in your face, as in the case it did here.
I think it's pretty much guaranteed that whether this is a success or not, that this actress now will not go on to have another role after this. People will think twice about employing her.
Did Wonka do well, by the way? Does anybody know? Because I'm trying to.
That did, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to suss out whether people are in, whether musicals do make money. If Wonka did well,
Mamma Mia.
But I think
recently. Recently. So Wonka was the last musical that came out. Joker 2 didn't do very well. Well, this one might do well. Who knows?
I think the difference was that neither of those films, particularly Joker 2, even though there are songs in it, I don't think anybody really thinks of it as a musical. Whereas Wonka absolutely was a musical, but it wasn't marketed as one. It was a very strange movie, which I think they actually marketed that film really, really well. They put it out with what seemed to be a modest advertising budget, and through word of mouth, that actually became really, really successful.
What movie?
Wonka, the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory sort of prequel from about a year ago.
Right. But again, that's like that had could deliver its goods, right? Like objectively entertaining. It was.
We scoffed about it on this show when it was being produced. I did. I thought that was going to flop.
Yeah, it sounded awful. Yeah, but again, it's Hugh.
Hugh Grant was in that as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Right.
Yeah, hugely popular.
He made that movie in the same way Michael Keaton made Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Wicked is in cinemas. We're going to move on. We're going to move on now, but Wicked is in cinemas on November the 22nd, everybody. And yeah, it's a long one. And if you can stomach it, it's back in cinemas again the following Christmas for another long one. So that's going to be about 5 or 6 hours of this stuff. So you better like the songs or get to like them.
Yeah.
I can deliver you something better in just 60 seconds. Never mind 6 hours. Check this out.
It's not been easy making friends. The name Wicked doesn't really help. Then I met Vicky.
She's different to the other kind of friends I've had.
I am who I am because of Vicky.
I feel like you're an advert. We just like doing stuff together.
I'll tell you who did have good legs. That was my sister. Till the house fell on her.
Really good sense of humour. We just hang out.
Yeah, you already said that. We go to the cinema a lot. Yeah.
Always very pleasant, well behaved.
You should use a scoop. We often go on a Wednesday. Orange do a 2-for-1 offer on a Wednesday, so we always go.
So we don't have the exact same taste.
I like romantic comedies and films about dirty cops.
It's the end of the line. Take some boy.
2-for-1 cinema tickets. Any customer, any mate, any Wednesday. Orange.
Yeah, beat that, Wicked. do you remember that advert, Ian?
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Orange doesn't exist anymore, does it not? Orange?
No.
What's an Orange?
It's a phone company.
It's a phone company.
Oh, I remember them.
Was that James Corden narrating it at the end as well?
I think it could have been, yeah.
Dear.
Which
That's
now
that
would be kind of toxic, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Some gayness coming on.
That's like kryptonite for me hearing James Corden.
But the Orange used to have those really good adverts where they had big stars in it. You know that Star Wars one,
I remember.
Darth Vader and all. They were really funny. Those ones.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This one's a bit all right, I guess. I don't know. Move along.
Welcome back to the Spacebook Lives, a preview of movies for the rest of 2024 here, and we're into the final straight. This one, you can tell we're into the final straight because we're hitting the animated stuff, the more traditional animated stuff, and this one's unexpected, but it's something that did used to be a bit of a Christmas thing. This brand, The Lord of the Rings, is back for this Christmas on December the 13th. The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. I've probably mispronounced that. And if I can't even pronounce that, I've got no chance of pronouncing the name of the director. That's Kenji Kamiyama. It stars Miranda Otto and Brian Cox. And this is from the actual stable that brought us that original set of 3 Lord of the Rings movies and then the 3 Hobbit films. So this is officially official. Anybody been following the story of this and its path to the cinema?
It's a very interesting project. I mean, it seems to have been made as a reaction to the Amazon series.
We
got to do something that's real, right? I think, and it's hopefully it's that. That's how it's being marketed.
Because it is 2 totally different stables. The Rings of Power people are not involved with this in any way, and have been. I mean, they are obviously they have got the rights to certain Tolkien materials, but there's a massive difference. That they're 2 completely different camps.
They also have a Gollum movie they're working on, haven't they?
Yeah. That's right.
I had
so they must have this, that they greenlit another one before people saw it. Is this in the cinemas or on streaming?
It's in the cinemas on December the 13th.
Oh. I'm not going to
I had heard a rumour it's a license holder that's been going about that effectively to keep their licensing for movies that they had to get a movie out, which is why this one's animated.
Oh, I see.
Because it's been a few years, isn't it now, since Hobbit and you know,
Long
with
time.
Amazon doing their complete dumpster fire of a series, you know, it should be money from heaven for these guys now, because you know anything's better than that series. So I mean the animation looks good.
The production drawings and the animation itself does look very, very nice. The synopsis says a sudden attack by Wolf, who is a clever and ruthless Dunleading lord who's seeking vengeance for the death of his father, forces Helm Hammerhand, the king of Rohan, and his people into making a last daring stand in the ancient stronghold of Hornburg. So this sounds like typical sort of dense Tolkien fare, doesn't it? It sounds blooded, it sounds complicated, just the right kind of political maybe, and it does sound like it's about people as well. As I understand, it's standard feature length, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce any of the names of any of the people involved, but will this find an audience? That's what you have to wonder. Will the people who love those original films, will they come out and see this? Will the Tolkien massive come out as well? Because obviously there is that well of people who are steeped in Tolkien, who consider it to be sacred, shall we say? Who have been angered by the Amazon show, and who revere Peter Jackson. Will they come out and support this? That's, I think, what I'm wondering.
I think they will. I think the other thing that I've sort of heard as well is people are complaining because if you look at how they're selling it and marketing it, it's like almost like a male centric series, but it's not. It's going to be a female centric like main character. So there's a lot of people that are getting quite antsy about that at the moment, from what I've seen online.
Well, this is the theatrical poster here, and there's a female character in the middle of that. You're absolutely right.
There's another one. I think it's a Japanese one as well. I think where it's more she's there with like a shield drawn, leading an army sort of thing. You know, so there has been talk of it. Yeah.
Whilst this isn't a direct adaptation of anything that Tolkien actually wrote, it's based on his appendices, isn't it, and various ideas and short stories.
The only thing that I would say is, from what I've heard, and I'm no expert on Tolkien, but I've heard that there is a female character in there, which I think they're using for this film. So they haven't done a Rings of Power as such, by the sounds of it. They have actually found a character from the lore. But again, I'll watch it because, you know, the animation for me just looks great. And you know, the action looks good in it from what I've seen from the trailer. So yeah, I'll give this a go, definitely.
Yeah, I'd say this is definitely a 4K pickup for me. I think I think this movie will be a success, but I think the degree to success, again, looking at this from a normie perspective, really depends on how much damage Rings of Power have done to sort of the image of Lord of the Rings from the perspective, not like the Tolkienites will go see this. It depends on how much damage that has done from the perspective of the average person, and how well the marketing can distance this from Rings of Power. So it really depends on, you know, your marketing, I think, has to focus on, this is not Rings of Power. This is the other one that isn't trash. So I think it will be successful, but I think the question is how successful, and it all depends on distancing themselves. So it's I think it looks great. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And Chris, I think the trailer as well is quite clever from what you were just saying. I think they're leaning into that, because the trailer sort of shows shows clips from Two Towers to start with, and it goes go back to, you know, Helm's Deep.
See,
and blah,
I
blah,
found
blah,
that
and
quite,
into the animation.
John, I found that quite off-putting myself.
Okay.
But you think it worked?
I think it worked for the diehards, and I think
it was
only a little bit at the beginning that anyone who's not watched Lord of the Rings before isn't going to be too fussed about it. What's the age rating on this one, Dan? Is it family friendly, this one? Or is
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well, 12.
So they're aiming it in the right place, aren't they? So
yeah.
I think this could do quite well.
I have absolutely no idea how this is going to do.
It can really go either way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my instinct is that it's going to be entertaining. It's probably going to be right up my street and hold my attention. But then again, you know, I will watch a lot of the DC animated movies. I watched the last the Babylon 5 one that they did straight to Blu-ray. You know, so I will seek out those kind of projects. But putting something like this in the cinema attached to something that's such a big brand. I mean, for example, Lucasfilm have never, well, they have actually did a Clone Wars film, didn't they? But they haven't done it with Star Wars since, despite the people supposedly liking those Visions things. They've never taken a full-length animated Star Wars back in the cinema since, in all that time, 17 years. And it makes you wonder why. Lord of the Rings has been to the cinemas in animated form before, of course, all the way back in 1978, the Ralph Bakshi movie. I mean, I love this for... I do. I love it. I know that it's not very well thought of, but I just saw it when I was very young, Ian.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's not well thought of? It's fantastic.
Don't know many people who like it though.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Well, I saw it in the cinema.
I love the rotoscoping.
Yeah, that's the reason why I didn't like it, because it's just obvious that they drew over people, and it's just, you know. I remember going, oh, okay, it's not really.
I found that like there's an interesting artistic style.
Yeah, well,
it's tied to it reminds me of movies like Watership Down. If they were available on VHS to rent, and I used to rent practically everything, and so I just associate it with that time. And for me, it was a period of, we've spoken about this before, Chris, a period of great, immense discovery for me, where I would rent practically anything that was in the shop just to find out whether I liked it or not, and to sample different kinds of films. And this along with Watership Down really does stand out. Obviously, 46 years is a long time.
Didn't Christopher Lee do a heavy metal album about Lord of the Rings?
Apparently.
I vaguely remember something about that, yeah.
Right? It's not really weird, though, but I think he did that.
Apparently so. I've never heard it. I would
love to see that. They should have that as an alternate track on the Blu-ray whenever they put it out. I love that movie. I think it's very innovative.
I was just going to say, I love Christopher Lee, where he tells Peter Jackson, where he says at the end about stabbing someone in the back.
I love
and
that.
He's like, that's not the sound someone makes when you stab them in the back. And you're like, whoa.
How do you know that, sir?
Yeah.
Oh, he was James Bond. He was in the
army.
World War II.
Yeah.
World War II.
Yeah.
He knows.
He was Dracula.
Fleming's cousin, wasn't he?
That's true.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Apparently so. Yeah, I'm looking at the animation to this, and I'm thinking, you know, this reminds me of the Netflix Master of the Universe show. I hated the way it went story wise, but the animation was absolutely incredible.
It really as well.
Really grieves me that I haven't been able to go back to it because the story, well, it's just too off-putting. So everything I'm seeing about this technically, it looks ambitious, Chris.
Well, no, but animation. I hate this CG 3D crap that they've been doing for the past 20 years. I miss the kind of animation that we grew up with, you know, back in the 70s.
Real animation.
Yeah, exactly. Real, and even though this obviously, I'm fairly certain this was not done the old way, where hand-drawn. It was done on a computer. But I miss that. This is what we grew up with. So yes, bring it on. It's like the DC animated movies, where, you know, they're one of the few holdouts where they use traditional animation, obviously done on a computer. But yeah, I'm like, I'm all for this. I will. I'll go see it. Well, I don't know if I'll see it in the theater because I haven't been able to see Terrifier 3 in the theater. But no, this is one that I want on 4K because I think it's going to look absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, you're right.
It's really winning me round. As I say, I don't know whether it's going to be successful or not, but it has really won me round, and I was very curious to learn what you guys were going to say about this. I know that Ian, you don't go and see a lot of animated movies. You sort of cherry pick.
Yeah.
Are you going to go and see this?
No, because I mean, I do like Lord of the Rings. I saw the first 3, and you know, I enjoyed them. But to tell you the truth, I've never seen it since I've never seen those 3 since I've been in the cinema. I'm not really interested in this. I might catch it when it comes on streaming, but it looks like, obviously, because John says I can't remember who said it. They put it out because they still want to keep the copyright to make more. So they had to put this one out, and it makes you wonder: does this come from the right place?
Well,
or does it come from just trying to keep the copyright? So there you go.
Well, you can get it originals like the Fantastic Four Corman. That was a rights holder movie. Sometimes you can have fun with it, like Jason X, Friday the 13th, Part 10. That was a rights holder movie because it was taking forever to get Freddy versus Jason out. But you know, they had fun with it. They're like, okay, well, we have to make something. Okay, what's the most ridiculous thing we can come up with? Jason goes into space. Perfect. Make it deliberately terrible. So
that's what they did. That's what they did.
I always wondered about that.
Oh no, it was a rights holder. But I don't think it necessarily has to be bad. Because it might be a rights holder, but it seems to be a rights holder from people that know what they were doing. And the rights holder, this film seems to have been in development for a long time. So I'm all for it. Or if it's going to just give me a Jason X, if it's going to be terrible, we'll just have fun with it.
Well, what I don't understand is why Peter Jackson wants to hold on to the copyright of Lord of the Rings.
Because of Amazon.
Yeah, I know. But still, though, I mean, he's far more... Him.
Well, there's his name up on there. Yeah, they did shaft him. They completely removed him from any involvement in Rings of Power. And he wanted to be involved, and the fans wanted him to be involved. I think he's synonymous with the Lord of the Rings, and this could be. I think it could be personal. I haven't read any interviews with him on the subject. I think I'll be looking out for them, though.
He's quite talented, though. I mean, before he made Lord of the Rings, he was making successful movies. I just don't understand why he keeps holding on to Lord of the Rings. He's done the 3. I don't know why he's doing Gollum. Let it go. Create some more stuff. You know,
I'd have him on Doctor Who in a second.
Give him the Dalek. Give him the Dalek. Let him direct Doctor Who.
Honestly, and I think there is a perhaps there might have been some bitterness, but I think maybe maybe there's a bit of, probably not, but maybe there's a bit of selflessness in this where he feels like he has to protect the franchise because what Amazon did with what they were able to with their portion of the rights was so horrific. Maybe he views this as, the only way I can protect this franchise from being completely destroyed is to do a rights holder, maybe just hold on to the rights long enough until somebody that isn't an idiot comes along and is able to make something good. So I think this is a case of just trying to protect the legacy.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's the Lord of the Rings, the War of the Rohirrim. That's in cinemas from December the 13th, and you can experience it in IMAX as well there too. It's got some competition with our final pick. This does sort of bring us back around to what we were talking about earlier on. In this one, back to the Spider-Verse for Kraven the Hunter. This is out in December. It's been put back again. It stars Aaron Taylor Johnson as, to be fair, one of the best characters in the history. In the history,
one movie with him instead now. It
is ridiculous the fact that we're still waiting to hear on this. But Kraven the Hunter is a fabulous character from Spider-Man lore. The protagonist in so many iconic runs and story arcs. It's criminal that in 20 odd years of theatrical Spider-Man movies that the character's never been in live action before. And I do feel that although Aaron Taylor Johnson's an interesting actor who does interesting things, this could actually damage his career and harm any chance that we ever see of Kraven the Hunter actually getting his due in live action. For all I don't want to completely sort of harpoon this before it's even out. The director is J.C. Chandor. You know, I don't know any of that person's work, but I don't know. I think that early signs can't be good coming out of the stable that brought us Madam Web, that have dragged out Venom now to 3 movies.
It doesn't have open hell.
This has Morbius all over it.
I saw the trailer.
Russell Crowe is also in this. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson will be fine as long as he is James Bond. If he's not, this could damage his career as well.
I saw the trailer for this, and did anyone spot Rhino? Rhino was in the trailer. It's just a brief second where he hits a truck and the truck goes flipping in the air.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yes, the brief, because you can tell it's CGI.
The trailer made no impact on me.
No,
I just glazed over.
I'm concerned when you say Russell Crowe's going to be in it, because I've got a worrying feeling that they're going to do a Spider-Man run from a few years ago, where Russell Crowe's going to be the older Craven, and this is going to be like the clone son version. I can see them doing that. I've got no hope for this movie whatsoever. And like you, Dan, I love Craven as a character.
And he looks incredible in the posters. He looks like Craven. This is fantastic casting.
But as Stephen Braddock said in the chat, you know, you want to see him fighting Spider-Man.
Yeah,
that's
with this character, with some characters, even with Venom, as I said before, Venom's had his own series. He does other things, and there are other Spider-Man universe characters that can exist like that. But Craven isn't one of them.
No.
This doesn't have a hope. Earlier, I was saying, as good as Spider-Man looks, it's going to have an uphill battle. Having even a modicum of success, just with the damage that's been done to comic book movies, this doesn't have a hope in hell. This is even worse than Venom. Like,
this is Sony, right? Sony?
Yeah, this is Sony. Yeah. They own all Spider-Man adjacent stuff. That nobody's gonna go see this, even if it was slightly good. No, I'm like, you're coming up after Venom, you're coming up after Madam Web, you're coming up after Morbius. The studio is an absolute train wreck disaster.
Yeah, how can you have that, Chris? Like right? Madam Web, you've got Sydney Sweeney in it, and you try and make her unattractive for the majority of the film.
That's Hollywood for you.
Yeah, it's just.
I think Hollywood. Madam. Actually, I think Madam.
Dan
Web
knew where I was going.
It's gonna over time. Madam Web is gonna have a cult following because it is so bad, and it is so bad it's good, but it's also done like the Sony Marvel movies. Madam Web finished it off. They are never coming back from that. Like, they should have Zaslav this movie, but
Sony basically is trying to hold on to the Spider-Man franchise, and the stupid thing they've gone is, okay, so who's around Spider-Man? Who can we cash in? Oh, we got Craven Hunter, we got so-and-so, we got Rhino, and that's what they're doing. It's stupid thinking. It's just stupid thinking. Concentrate on Spider-Man, make a good movie.
Again, for me, if you're going to do a Craven the Hunter movie, you can't use Spider-Man. Have him go and try and capture Venom, try and hunt Venom. That's a great concept.
Yeah, brilliant.
You know?
I'd have watched that. Casting Sydney Sweeney as Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman isn't that bad an idea either. Most of the characters that they've used in these, I like them. I don't necessarily mind some of the people that they've put in those roles, but the films, the projects, the scripts, the way it's all been framed has been it's just been completely wrong. Sydney Sweeney's clearly going to be fine. This hasn't hurt her career at all. No. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson will be fine as well, but
that dress she wore in that picture you just showed saved her career. I'm not joking. It literally saves a career after.
I think anything that comes out between now and Superman, and even maybe Superman, I think they're lame duck movies. It's like all that stuff that Warner vomited out because they had to. I don't think any comic book movie between now and Superman is gonna. I think anything that comes out is gonna flop. And I think if Superman flops, that is the final death knell of.
Absolutely right. Yeah. Yes, I am leaving.
Sinister Six they were going to do.
Yeah,
That was
I'm not
years
sure that's
ago.
happening at all now.
That was donkeys years ago. They scrapped that. I have been leaving this picture of Sydney Sweeney up on screen for as long as I could feasibly get away with. But yeah, that's Craven the Hunter. So the synopsis is that Craven's complex relationship with his ruthless father starts him down a path of vengeance with brutal consequences, motivating him to become not only the greatest hunter in the world, but also one of its most feared. That's all we've got. Doesn't inspire a great deal of confidence there. As I say, I wish Taylor Johnson all the best. Let's hope he's got the Bond role after all, because he's going to need something pretty big to dig him out of this considerable hole. We'll be back. I know, Liam, I know. We'll be back closer to Christmas with a selection of Christmas films, a selection box, no less. But that is our movies preview for the rest of 2024 so far. Let us know what your picks are. Are any of these worth going to see out of the ones that have kind of got a geeky flavour about them? Let us know in the comment section and we'll get right back to you.
Is it secret? Is it safe? Cerveza cristal. Cerveza cristal.
There's a good story behind that, isn't there?
Is
you
there?
know the story. Yeah, basically, I think it was Italy. They did that in films. As the film was going, and they placed those bits in films.
Oh, okay.
Every film. It's crazy until the filmmakers stopped them from doing it. That actually happened when Italian audiences were watching that on TV. That actually happened, and then they carried on with it like it was part of the movie. Do you guys know that? No,
I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me at all. It sounds like a Canon Films strategy to me. But yeah, this is the part where we've got to hop off here, not least of all before the rabbi falls asleep.
I'm fading. Oh,
he's fading. He's fading fast. But we are thrilled that you've joined us here for the Spacebook Live, Rabbi.
Thrilling. That is true.
As always. Yes, so heaven knows what Francis Ford Coppola would make of your punditry or your review of Megalopolis.
I think he would be in awe, slack-jawed awe. That's what I would. That's how I would imagine.
You could be right, and people can find you where. Remind them of the channel, Rabbi, where they can find you. There you go. Slumps
you get
over.
Me on the YouTube's the Rabbi from Another Planet, and the Twats. I'm at Lebetkin. I'm on Rumble, at Rabbi on Rumble, and Facebook. I think I'm at Lebetkin. I think.
Yes, you're Lebetkin now. Yeah, it's up on screen.
Everywhere.
Oh, the Rabbi. But sign up to me on Substack, and then you will get some, full frontal, undiluted Rabbi injected.
Oh no!
In 1 or 2 hot, warm spasms into your email folder.
With a worn down Nicola Bryant doll.
It's difficult. It's difficult to follow that, John. But go on, where can people hear?
I can't beat that. I can't. So I'm on X at Gallifrey11, which is where you can find me, and then I'm on here regularly, and then I'm on. Just got my own channel, just doing some reviews of shows on Sci-Fi Chronicles 7/9 on YouTube. So that's where I am, and thanks for having me on again, Dan. It's been an absolute joy, mate.
Yeah, we may not have put any wrongs right, but I think we've managed to moderate our own expectations a little. I feel, Ian. Great to have you back, Ian, as ever. Not much making your radar there, mate. I'm sorry we couldn't bring you, but at least we brought you a bit of Paddington. I know you like a bit of Paddington.
No. I mean, I'm like the Rabbi. I'm slightly tired because I went to the cinema today, but I was working the night before, so I'm just kind of slightly tired. But I'm still here. So yeah. People can find me on X, Facebook, and YouTube, and on Dan's channel, and on John's channel.
Yeah.
I'm everywhere,
You
but
are.
nowhere.
The omnipresent geek.
Multiverse Diaz. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
I'm on the
with-
Rebecca Gold channel, so just
Yeah.
look that up. There you go. So,
I keep following Rebecca Gold for updates. That's what they've got to do, isn't it, Ian? And Chris Bowles Trek with his fabulous new icon. Let's have another look at it. Are you keeping this, or is it just for Halloween, Chris?
This is Halloween. We're going to see what AI comes up with, and maybe I'll rotate. So yeah, I am proposing a new Bulls Trek segment for future weeks.
Yes.
Canadian PSAs with Bulls Trek. I'll give them to you beforehand because there are so many of these.
I love that.
Because honestly,
fun.
like the series that I showed you earlier was from 2007. And I'm not joking. They played these things. They were in every ad break, middle of the day, children's programming. They were playing them Saturday morning. And some of them are so over the top. But there's also the don't touch yucky things one, which is just nightmare inducing. But yeah, so I'll dig these up. But no, this is what we were. This is what we were exposed. Maybe this is why we're so screwed up here now. They just traumatized us with their workplace safety insurance board commercials.
I mean, we used to get a lot of them, but not. It sounds like they really did mine the schedules in Canada with these things. So I'd love to see some more.
The inverse of that, though, are also infomercials. They used to have this one called this guy Tommy Woo. He's like this little Asian guy. Right, he's surrounded by all these women in bikinis, right? And he's on the other. Says, "I am Tommy Woo. You are Ruza." Right, it's the whole thing. You think because I am small, Orleans man, I cannot be billionaire. I can be billionaire. I show you how. Right? He had to buy his. That was awesome because they're also very life affirming. Those things.
Bring them all to me. Let's have a whole. Let's have a strand. Yeah, let's have a strand rather than a whole show.
That girl with their fingers.
This is what we'll do. What I will do in the future.
Sparkler. You gotta get that one.
Little Johnny can't do sparkling anymore.
I'll send these to Dan ahead of time.
I like it. I like it. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, that'd be great.
But here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put them in the group chat. I'm going to give them to you personally because I want to see live reactions to some of these. Because wait till you get like, wow, she spilled my coffee. Oh, that one's just delightful. So yeah, we'll do that, and it's better than horror movies because we are sick. And just wait until we get to the construction work site ones. Good Lord. Oh man!
If that's not a teaser, everybody, I don't know what is. So please make sure you're subscribed and notified and all that jazz. You can find me on X and Instagram as the Spacebook, wheezing and groaning and ranting and raving about all things geeky at the movies, on TV, and in comic books, and drifting a little into politics lately. I do try and stop myself, but sometimes when David Tennant says or does something stupid, I can't help myself. When the Avengers assemble with the worst ever bit of political sort of interference that I think I've ever seen, who cannot respond to that? So yeah,
isn't he?
Allow me a bit of a pass when it comes to that. Tennant, you mean? He's in Rivals, the Jilly Cooper thing?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm giving that a wide berth.
So am I. He looks rubbish.
Completely. Stay tuned to the Spacebook for the Spacebook Live every Saturday, 8 p.m. UK time. Join the mission and subscribe to the channel to get that and the Spacebook listed when we make some more of those. There will be more of those coming at some point in the future. Don't forget to head over to Type 40 and catch up with Type 40 Live's Top of the Shocks, our Halloween special, which is evergreen content. It'll scare the life out of you, whether it's still Halloween or not. So that's myself and the panel. We select our top shocks from the history of Doctor Who on and off screen. It actually was mostly on screen in this instance, but we had a good laugh, a good old natter, put up some fantastic pictures as always, and there were some brilliant comments too from the live chat. So if you're a Doctor Who fan, head over to the Type 40 channel and then meet us back here next time for more from the Spacebook Live. We'll be rolling it all out, all things out there entertainment with our dedicated panel of champions. We are the champions. Thanks for staying awake, Rabbi. I really do appreciate it. And for the comments out there in the live chat on Rumble and on YouTube, thank you so much, everybody. That's it for another one. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you in the comments section. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.